Module 2 talks about digital content writing, specifically content for digital marketing. This segment is by Ms. Sanskarika and Ms. Rachel, both experts in social media, search engines and content development. They currently work for Duta, a digital marketing firm in Hyderabad that specializes in user personas development, sales pitch, social media strategies, search engine strategies and optimization. Rachel and Sanskarika's conversation introduces you to a wide range of digital texts such as memes, videos, social media posts, blogs, etc., and how these can be effectively used to market a product or present an idea. Sanskarika and Rachel explain how a combination of visual, verbal, auditory and gestural modes in digital texts helps communicate ideas more effectively. The script of this conversation is available for you to download and read. Taking off from this idea, in the second part of the module, Mr. Kingshuk Nag discusses the impact of the visual media. Mr. Nag was the resident editor for Times of India, Hyderabad. He is also an author and a recipient of the Prem Bhatia Memorial Award for Excellence in Political Reporting and Analysis. In this snippet, Mr. Nag briefly discusses the differences between writing books and screenplays. He also talks about writing for newspapers and ends with short pointers or tips for those of you who are interested in taking up writing as a profession or a passion.
Hey Sanskarika, since we are here to discuss on digital content, and before we get on to the topic of writing digital content, I would like to know your views on print versus digital media and which medium do you prefer to read in?
As a content writer, researching on the internet is the very first thing I do before putting anything on paper or on the Word document. So for me, I'm more used to digital media, and I find it very structured rather than print media, because I feel print media is structured and developed around the author. However, this is just my opinion, and when it comes to print versus digital, I would choose digital media because it's easier to navigate, it's accessible. Like, I have a smartphone most of the time, and I can look for informations on the go, whenever, wherever, and it's more, people friendly, I would say, because thinking from a larger population's perspective, it has given a level playing ground to a lot of people, and personally it has made my life much easier with the quick suggestions, with the more options that I get, and it's helps me do my job quicker and better. But again, you should be very specific when you're looking for digital content, and that is why you have been working on search engine optimization and the tools. So would you like to put some light on how one can do it?
Sure. One must be extremely focused on the information they need. There is lots of information on the internet and we can easily get distracted. So always search with exact and complete keywords, and I would suggest even using entire phrases while searching information, so that you can get more accurate results, because digital content tries to answer all the questions a reader might have. So you will agree to it?
Of course.
That you also try to answer the 5W1H. So while searching, you must search very specifically to get what you are exactly looking for. Since we spoke about writing for digital media, could you share some important tips on how you do it, or where can someone start to develop content for digital media?
Be it digital or print media, the first thing any content writer should be thinking of is why are they writing the content? What is the purpose of it? Like, do they want to influence someone? Do they want to persuade their readers? Or are they selling or promoting or advertising? These are some questions they should decide on first. And once that they know, a content writer know, or when I know the answer to that question specifically, the rest of the content flows, because then I think what are they looking for, and what is the information they find relatable, or the problems that they have, and if I can solve them and present them in a way that they would find easier to understand and sort out their problem. But again, answering those questions is not the end of it. You have to also set the tone and the approach, because when we think of content in different contexts, be it a web content or be it a blog article, the tone and approach changes. And I think you know that how it changes and how a web content and a blog content is different, and it would be great if you can elaborate on it. I think you have some experience in that, and you can say how do you think that a web content or a content on a website, which is when you go to a website, you click on a link or something, is different from a blog article?
Yeah, see, blogs are informal and conversational, provide a lot of information before convincing readers to buy. For an example, in educational apps that specialize in testing, we discuss how the test help students find what they know and don't know in a chapter. When we write a blog around that feature, we provide clear examples and take the user through the process and offer solutions. Then subtly direct the users to buy and subscribe. When it comes to the website, we mainly focus on benefits, solutions of features, and immediately ask the users to buy. It does not have an informal or conversational tone which blogs or video scripts usually have. So videos play an important role as people these days, and they prefer videos to reading. Therefore, it demands the conversational tone for better understanding. We created lots of video content for YouTube, right? If you can tell how the process was, especially the scripting of videos.
You would agree with me when I say that videos are the easiest to consume information from. But coming up with a script that is so easy to consume is not a very easy task, because you have to come up with content which is seamless and smooth and easily can be received by the target audience or whoever is watching the video that you have created. So you should start first to hook them to your content with a very captivating, very catchy statement, and you should stick to it. What happens is people tend to deviate, they tend to get distracted from what they are talking about, the information they are giving or the product they are selling. So for example, I can give you an example. If you are selling or if you are promoting or if you are introducing a sweet, say something like a kaju katli or a laddu or whatever from a sweet shop, you cannot go around talking about all the sweets. You have to talk or keep the specific sweet at the center and then talk about things around it. So what happens is they can interpret it better, and they can get your information quicker because they know exactly what you're talking about. And then once you have persuaded them, after you hook them, you persuade them, and then you have to give them sort of a quick thing to act upon. It can be a link, it can be a call to action button. In this case, if I want them to order a sweet from the place that I am suggesting, it can be a order now button, it can be a link to visit their website of your choice, whatever you think is right or placeable in that content space, you should do that. So that is how you go about creating. And also we should always think that it is a human being on the other side of the screen. So you should always give a personal touch to it, something which connects to them, something they can relate to, because otherwise it's just someone talking and talking without connecting, and that really helps in today's world. People need to connect to you to actually subscribe to what you're selling. So that is how you work it out, and that is the same with social media content, that the motive is to connect with them and make them take an action, be it sharing, be it just telling a friend about something. So that is how it works. So if you can tell us about how you come up with a meme, or what are the things that goes around when you come up with a social media content or a meme or anything that has to do with a person taking an action.
Yeah, so social media platforms are about trends and occasions and less about the product you are selling. Now, so the content and images of our product should suit the occasion. For an example, for Independence Day, we ran a campaign, and it was for freedom from cooking. Or for IPL, we ran a campaign of ordering food and enjoying cricket at home with friends and family. I can give you some pro tips, like things to remember while developing social media content. First of all, you have less than a second to grab attention because the user is quickly scrolling the content. The content should be catchy, of course, as the attention span is less, as you told before. So do not use alien words, and balance the blank space and content and avoid cluttering. You need to give clear details or guide them clearly to take the action you want them to take. In this case, to place the order and place the details in the post so they don't have to search for it. And of course, in this generation, do you know, memes are the best, for catching attention of people, So people love to share them too. And that is the best way to reach maximum people. Research what's trending on social media and see how you can use that for writing content for your product. And to get the best results, add a little humor. That always seems to work and get the most shares. All I can say in the end, the more the share, more the reach, and that is what the goal is.
Mr. Kingshugnak, thank you very much for agreeing to contribute to the course on communicative English.
Thank you.
We would like you to think about your experience working for the print and the digital media. You worked for both print and digital media quite extensively. What would you say is the difference between the print and digital media, say for instance maybe newspapers versus television?
There are a lot of differences. A newspaper, as you know, is a different medium. You get the newspaper in the morning and you read it. And television, you don't really have to read. You have the information is beamed to you. So as you know, the newspaper, you have to make an effort to read, but in a TV you can be doing other things while the TV beams the news. So, you can focus yourself on doing something else while listening. But however, as you know very well, that when we watch programs on TV, and if the programs are very interesting, we focus on listening to it also. But obviously, involvement is much less. However, a newspaper, there is another advantage of course of a newspaper, which is that newspaper you can be reading now and maybe after half an hour later, but in TV the news comes then, you have to put the TV on and watch it. So, there is a difference in the way that the news is consumed, as they say.
And in terms of communication of message, which one would you
Communication
think
of message, it is generally believed that a TV is a more superior medium, because it is a visual medium and then you can see. So, when people see, it has a greater impact on them. And in a newspaper you will be reading and you cannot effectively understand what has happened. Suppose they are talking about an accident which happened, suppose, and the accident, why it happened, is shown on the TV. So, that will have a further impact on you, larger impact on you. In newspaper, you have been describing such and such car came and he ran over such and such scooter and all that. So, the impact is much more in the case of TV. However, you should also realize, and this is an aside, that whenever you are reporting an incident on TV, also the TV camera is not omnipresent, it is not present everywhere. So, when they talk of an accident, probably also they will say that such an accident had happened, and then they will show the destroyed car and the people who have collected there, etc., etc.
What are the most important skills to become a successful script writer, perhaps?
The most successful, to write successfully, that you have to know what the situation is, how much you can show on TV and how the public will react. And therefore, then you have to be, you have to be partial to the truth, you have to show truth, you can't just say anything. So, the actual balancing job is quite difficult.
Okay.
And often in the case of TV and all, when I got Atal Bihari Vajpayee's books will be adapted to TV, my books. So, before they are adapted, actually you meet the director and he has got some writers. So, you talk to them because they are specialist writers. You tell them the story, or they have read the story from the book. They want to make a film out of it. So, they have got the special language and all, they are trained in it. So, they are different. You are right. You are a writer, but the television script writer is slightly different from you.
Right, right. So, if you can think back on your experience writing for newspapers as opposed to writing a book, as opposed to writing a screenplay perhaps, can you think of major differences, salient differences among these three types of writing?
In a newspaper, we started off as reporters. When you will be going to covering accident or maybe sanitary jobs, etc., floods, so etc., those are pure descriptive writing, and the idea is to get as much information about that incident and so that the truth can be displayed.
And the book?
And book takes a much longer perspective, and suppose we are writing not about one accident or one garbad, but basically say suppose traffic in Hyderabad has become worse, or say like Bangalore, that day this whole city of Bangalore was flooded. So, if you are writing a book on floodings on Bangalore, so a lot of things will come. Now, I was thinking of not writing a book, thinking of the subject, and then I came that there were so many different perspectives.
Right.
First, I came to the conclusion that a lot of flooding is taking place in Bangalore. Question is why? The answer I realized was that because the lakes have been closed up and real estate buildings have come up. So, there are not much, so the water collects and becomes flooded. That is why you will find in Bangalore the recent flooding is of posh ultra areas, where land has been, farming land has been taken on the edge of the city and and where there were lakes, the lakes have been closed and then buildings have come. And so, when such huge buildings come, water can't move. So, when the rain happens, the rain collects, water collects.
That's still a newspaper article. Can you tell us how it becomes a book?
Suppose this happens frequently,
Mm-hmm.
then what will you do? Then you will have a perspective, na? Then you will see why this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody told you that the lake is being closed down, but when you take a longer perspective, you realize. I realized about Bangalore was that, suppose I have to write a book on Bangalore, which I have not written but could well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I used to stay in Bangalore 20 years ago,
Okay.
and we used to stay near the airport. And now the airport
Right.
is shifted some 50-60 kilometers away.
Right, that's right. Yeah.
So the whole orientation of the city has changed.
So that's how you collect information
Yeah.
around the issue.
So you have to do a lot of analysis also, not that information, but analysis also. First you make a theory, from the theory then you get information which you adapt to that theory.
Mm. Right, so that's the book.
Yeah.
And moving on to the visual media.
Visual media is also very difficult to show, but then the same thing can be shown in a video media also. You have to have past shots of Bangalore and then current shots and see how the city is getting crowded and how more and more people are coming, and then graphically describe what has happened to Bangalore.
There's a problem when you show things on TV than when you write about it in a book.
Yeah, because
Do you see that happening?
Yeah, it happens all the time, as I told you. Because I think it shows that the TV as a medium is much stronger. So whatever is shown in movie and cinema is more stronger than newspaper or a book.
Is that the impact of the visual medium?
I think it is the impact of the visual media. The visual media in that sense is much more stronger. Only thing is, therefore, you can't show precise details. And it is also a very difficult medium also.
Right. You know, you are a prolific writer. Any tips for budding writers? Anything for starting writers or people who would like to get into writing? What's it that you would tell us?
First thing I'll say that choose your subject with clarity. Also try to figure out what sort of problems may arise if you want to write on the subject. Number 3, you also figure out the collection of information will be how difficult. Sometimes it will be very difficult to collect information. No?
Has that happened to you?
It happens, but then some subjects. For instance, I wrote a book on China and India. So it also, so because you have to study Chinese history and Chinese economy, what are the Chinese doing? Why are they doing? You are going to into the psychological make of the Chinese people and also the Chinese state. But that's a very difficult job because, first of all, you have been to China only once or twice.
So to get back to the
to
tips.
before, one of the tips is that you have to have a strong logical mind and you have to have a strong analytical mind.
Right.
Otherwise, you write the most descriptive story. Is that how road accidents happen? You write, they are very descriptive. But you have to go behind the news and try to analyze the whole phenomenon. Then you have to do a lot of studies yourself before you jump into the picture.
That's a good point. Yes, yes.
You have to study a lot. You should be convinced of the opportunity of a book. Also, you must realize that a book can be produced, but it has to sell also. First thing is that you have to know how to write. Because as an editor of a newspaper, I often realize that people who wanted to become writers wouldn't have any skill over language.
Right, right.
So they are writing imperfectly. They are unable to convey what exactly they are writing. So that creates a lot of problem. First thing is that you should know good English or Hindi or Telugu or whatever language.
Right, right. Yeah.
Then you should know the subject well. You should have a very curious mind, analytical mind. Then you can write.
Okay. Yes, I think that should be it. Thank you very much for spending time with us.
Thank you.